Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. There we go. Okay.
Can we go home now?
Glad you're here. This is community outreach and fundraising. I didn't prepare any slides or anything like that. And, you know, it's one of those things that at the last minute they say we need you to do one more, and since you're so good at this, you do this. Okay, thank you. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about various things that I initiated when I was master of my lodge for the first time, and other lodges that I've seen. And then I'm going to ask you for things that you're doing that are out of the norm in being active and involved in your lodge, out of your lodge, in the community, with community service type things, with fundraising for philanthropy that your lodge wants to do. So that's mainly what this is about. So, I joined Masonry, and I gave my prove up, and they immediately sat me in the junior warden's chair, and I said, brothers, what do I do? And they said, well, master will tell you, don't worry about it. So you start learning from there. Our lodge was very stoic. I mean, we really didn't do anything. A few brothers got together on the 4th of July in the middle of the summer, dressed in suits with aprons and the collars on, and we had a little banner and we carried flags and we walked in the 4th of July parade. Whoopee. You know, I mean, and that's the recognition that we got. Okay. So when I became master in my 3rd year, the one thing I wanted to do was to make some changes. First thing I did is I walked the street of Anacortes. I'm Fidalgo Lodge number 77, Anacortes, Washington. I'm Don Munks, if you don't know me. And so I walked the street and I walked into every single business in Anacortes. I shook the owner's hand or the manager's hand, introduced myself, and asked them if they knew where the Masonic Lodge was in Anacortes. And the majority of what I got was a blank stare and, excuse me, what? And when I explained where it was, they went, well, I've never really paid attention or seen it. I did have a few business managers who went, oh, yeah, I know where it's at. It's on the corner of 8th and O. It's that strange building with those funny symbols on the outside, right? And most of them knew because they belonged to Kiwanis. And that's where they held their lunches. Otherwise, City of Anacortes didn't know we existed. We didn't do anything to let them know that we existed. So what do? How do you start the process? We had been in the parade, dressed in our suits, nothing spectacular, so on. So what we did is we formed a committee. Husbands and wives. Ladies, husbands and wives. Because you ladies are going to come up with suggestions that we never think about. And in the beginning we're going to go, no way. And then we're going to think about it and go, wow. And we're going to change it and make it our own. And we're going to take credit for it. Okay? So, you need to be involved with your husbands in helping us think about things that we don't think about. So we set this committee, and we started traveling around each other's homes, having dinner, having a few drinks, sitting around talking. And in the very first one, it was the women over talking here and men over taking care of business here. And then we realized that didn't work because we didn't come up with anything and the women were just full of ideas. So then we got together. So the first thing that we did was, yeah, we were in the parade, but we were in the parade as famous Masons. We were dressed up as George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, John Wayne. There were a dozen of us that picked various characters and dressed up.
So who were you?
George Washington. You know, the master of the lodge. It had to be George. And so we dressed up in costume, and we held signs that said who we were. And we walked in the parade. And for those few that couldn't walk in the parade, we used, I think it was my pickup or an old tractor.
One time the pickup, another time
The old tractor.
the pickup and the
Because we started gaining all kinds of people that wanted to be in the parade. But we had a wagon and we had some chairs bound down, and they sat in the wagon because they couldn't walk the probably close to 20 blocks that this parade was. We were the hit of the parade. I mean, we had people coming out in the street and shaking our hands. We had hooping and hollering and clapping and all kinds of comments about, I didn't realize he was a Mason, and so on and so forth. It was fantastic. We went to the lodge afterwards. We started changing clothes. People were coming into the open doors in the lodge in our dining room and thanking us for being in the parade as famous Masons, because it was a real learning experience for them. They loved it. That was our first exposure. After that, we gained a lot more members that wanted to come. We invited Rainbow and D. Malay in our area to join with us. Eastern Star, Sojourners came. I mean, it was a big deal. My senior warden was retired Air Force, and he said, I'll be Robert Burns. Okay, so you think of Robert Burns, and you know, he was good on the bagpipes, and so I figured there'd be a recording and he'd play the recording. He was the real deal, and he was phenomenal, and the crowd absolutely loved it. I mean, this thing was a real hit, and still is in Anacortes. And we've been doing it now for 8 or 9 years. Okay, we get a lot of recognition. But you have to do more than that. You have to get out in the community. They need to know who you are if they're going to help you raise the funds that you need for those things that you want to do in the community. So, Veterans Day, there was a little ceremony that took place at the local park. And it didn't last very long. Boy Scouts kind of put it on. The mayor gave a little speech. Prayer was said, but there really wasn't a whole lot. And the Boy Scouts quit. And it dropped. So we picked it up. Now, our lodge had always done what we call an empty chair ceremony, where you basically celebrate for that service member that's no longer with us. And we always just advertised it within our district to the lodges. Never advertised it to the public. So what we did is we opened the lodge up at noon. We did a ceremony with the flag, thanking the veterans for their services, brought the public into our dining hall, had something real simple for lunch, sandwiches and soup. We invited everybody upstairs to the lodge. We were off session, so everything was set up, and we did our empty chair ceremony. And it's pretty spectacular when you do it. The lodge was full, but there was only a couple handfuls of Masons. It was the public that was there, and they loved it. And we've been doing it for four or 5 years now. Okay? The Port of Anacortes picked up on it, and now that has become a really big day. We also decided that that's on Memorial Day. We also decided on Veterans Day that, you know, you see the picture of the president laying the wreath, the unknown soldier tomb, okay? So why not? So we made a big wreath. We invited everybody to come to Veterans Day to the park, and we lay the wreath. We have a procession that comes in. We give a prayer. We have a few words that are said, and then we lay the wreath. We sing the national anthem. We get some comments from servicemen that are dressed in uniform, and then everybody goes down to the port, and there's some big presentations and so forth. But we're the kickoff for Veterans Day. Didn't cost us anything. But again, we're in front of the community. We're dressed. They know who we are. You go anywhere in Anacortes and you ask them now, they know who we are. They know what we're doing, and they know where we're at. We joined the Chamber of Commerce so we could be with the business people. And every opportunity that we had to tell them our story about what our fraternity does, we tell them. You know, a business has a special sale. Businessman raises his hand and goes, I'm having a sale this next weekend, and you know, this is what we're going to do. When it goes around the table and comes to us, guess what? We raise our hand and we say, we have this event going on that we sponsor as a fraternity worldwide. And this is what's happening. They know how much money as a fraternity we give on a daily basis. And that's over $8 million a day. You take a look at our blue lodges, you take a look at our concordant bodies, it's over $8 million a day that we give to causes, to those less fortunate. Who's the largest supporter of funds to diabetes research? Amaranth. Okay? I mean, we support heart research. We support the American Heart Institute that invented the stents. We do a lot of things for those older and for those younger, the children's hospitals. So we are one of the most prolific fraternities out there in supporting those less fortunate, those needing help. So it's important to tell the story because the public doesn't know it anymore. We quit telling it. We relied on our ancestors and what they did to carry the story. And we quit doing it because we're not supposed to approach the public, right? In my dad's day, you had to be asked 3 times before you gave information to a person that wanted to join our fraternity. Today, you can go out and talk to anybody about what we do. There's only one thing you can't do. You can't take a petition, walk up to the brother and go, you know, I want you to be in my fraternity. Here's the petition. You can't do that, but you can do everything else. You can approach them. You can talk to them about what you do as a Mason. You can say, you know what? I know you well enough to know that you'd be a great Mason. And when he asks, well, how do you join? You're there. Okay? We want to build membership in Masonry, but we don't want to build numbers. We want to build good men that we know. You take someone coming in off the street, they're interested, they're asking questions, they want to join your lodge. You know, next thing you know, he's got a petition, he's got 3 people that signed it that haven't got a clue who he is. We run them through the investigation, And if he answers a couple of the questions right, man, we vote him in, we take him through the degrees. He's there for a meeting or two, and we've wasted our time. Because it really didn't fit. We didn't know who he was, and he didn't know who we were. We've got to spend more time doing things right. We need that influence from the outside that's looking at us going, wow, these people do things for those less fortunate, and that's what I want to be involved with. That's why people join Kiwanis and Rotary and so on. They want to be involved, they want to help. They want to know what they're doing is really doing something. But nobody knows what we're doing anymore. I was at the Conference Grand Masters last year, and Michigan put on a meeting like this, and it was full of grandmasters and other electeds, and they talked about their 6-step program for candidates and what they do. But in that meeting, they talked about a survey they did to ask people in the state of Michigan if they know who Masons were. 0.2% knew who Masons were. And half of them hated us. Okay? That's how our influence is. And if we did it here in the state of Washington, it may be a little bit higher, who knows, but it isn't going to be much. So they don't know us. The more we can get out, the more they're going to recognize us, the more they're going to recognize the symbols. What you wear when you go to the store, how you do it. When I go to the store, you probably can't see it. Square and compass on the wallet. I don't go to a restaurant or a store without putting it down. What are you going to say?
When you get pulled over.
Oh.
Here's the real reason.
It just happens we have some good brothers that are state patrolmen. But, you know, yeah, it's help.
He's got a black foot. What can we say?
Yeah, but, you know, it's that recognition. Pretty quick, you go to the same store, the clerk's going, oh, you're a Freemason, or you're a Mason, or whatever. I've seen that before. You know, they start asking.
Where are you going this weekend? I get that a lot.
Yeah, that's true, because they know we do a lot of traveling. Okay, but we have to get out what we have. Whether you wear a hat, whether you wear a coat with a symbol, whether you wear a shirt like this, or anything else that has the symbolisms that we have for Masonry. We got to let the public know who we are. Okay? That's going to help you when you start fundraising. Because now you're going to be going out to the community and you're going to be asking them to donate for what you want to do. Our lodge, we never did anything. So one of the members in the lodge that I talked to one night when we were having some coffee downstairs, he loves to skeet shoot. And we got to talking and come up with the idea, why don't we do a turkey shoot? Okay, it's at a skeet range. Everybody loves to shoot, okay? So we decided to do a turkey shoot. Everybody that buys a ticket is entitled to 6 shoots, 5 stations at a shoot. So you got 30 shoots that you're doing, $25 ticket. With that $25 ticket, you're guaranteed a prize. Either a turkey, a ham or bacon, turkey, ham, and bacon. So you're guaranteed to come home with something to spend 25 bucks. So you got guys coming there and they're buying 1, 2, 3 tickets. They're having a great time from 10 to 2. We did it as a fundraiser for Meals on Wheels.
Okay, and in order to get more money, we had a pinwheel. So if you weren't going to come to the event, you could buy a ticket for a chance to win. It
Yeah.
was $21, took the whole pinwheel.
There was 21 spaces, 20 around the center. So 21 chances at $1 a piece.
And then somebody went and put the pinwheel out as a target, and then whoever's name they hit won turkey or ham.
We took the youngest person there and we set the target out there and we had them shoot it. And the name that had the most BB holes won the prize. Okay, just little things. We have kids from 7, 8, 9 years old up to men that are 92 that come to this event. Most of them are non-Masons. And guess what? They know who Masonry is now. We've been doing this since 2005. And it's great. We make money for Meals on Wheels. We started another fundraiser basically because the Moose Club owns the range. So we said, we'll share with you in your fundraiser for Toys for Tots. So we have a turkey shoot in the fall. We go and we help them with everything for their shoot. Meal, setting things up, doing things, shooting, so on, for Toys for Tots. And we get a truckload of toys and cash that we give the Marine Corps. They now really participate helping us in our fundraising for Meals on Wheels. So again, the community, knowing who we are and what we raise money for, not just outside, but within our community, knows who we are and what we do.
One we did that didn't really work, on opening day, we fixed biscuits and gravy, and we're selling it to the fishermen. The guys got so excited, they got in their boat and they went out selling biscuits and gravy to guys that were in the middle of the lake. Again, it didn't work, except, well, Mary and I did all the work, and the men stood around visiting. They met so many guys from, well, Seattle, and all, that came there for fishing. Oh, I'm a Mason. And it was so much fun to watch them and the brotherly love. So we did that 2 years, and
We tried it. We tried a dinner and that didn't work.
you gotta try.
Cost us something. It didn't work then, but who knows if it works in the future.
But then again, people saw Masons. So
And
tell them one that we can do as a district if they don't have the support of the.
one idea that I've had for quite a while, and I'm really excited, I want to do it, it's getting the manpower put together to get it done. And that is to, City of Anacortes has an oyster run. It's held in September. We get anywhere from 10 to 15,000 bikers that come into Anacortes. And they basically take over downtown Anacortes. You got the bikes down where the cars park, and you got the bikes in the center lane. And that place is full. If you want to see bikes, you need to come. But that many bikers and gawkers that wind up in Anacortes is amazing. So, what I thought of one day is, your deputy grand master loves beer. And we stopped one time in Ellensburg at a new brewery. And I walked in and I found the perfect beer for bikers. It's called Irish Death. It's got a skull and crossbones. Looks wicked, the display on the outside.
It tastes pretty good.
Well, that's some people's opinion. You take the bottle of beer, you turn it upside down, and to get it out of the bottle, it's pretty thick and black. But what better for bikers than this great big skull and crossbones Irish death beer? And then, remember the shooter I was telling you about, we started working together for the turkey shoot? He's a big game hunter all the time. Always getting moose, always getting elk, always getting his deer, and so on. He said to me, why don't you sell, along with the beer, moose tacos? He said they're fantastic. Now, can you tell me a biker that would resist having moose tacos and Irish death? I mean, they'll flock to the lodge, but we've got to have the manpower. So our lodge doesn't have that kind of manpower. So what I've been talking about is district-wide. We all join together as a district to put on the fundraiser. And depending on the man hours put in by each lodge, we split the profits back to each of the lodges for what we get. Think, think about the things you can do, how you can do them.
And the common one, have an auction or wine tasting, and then give the money, to homeless or to a needy family or whatever. Or like one lodge, they buy clothes for for kids
Right.
that don't have any school clothes.
Possibilities are endless. Just try it. If it works, great. If you can build on it, even better. But you have to try it. You have to get out of your norm. You have to do that thing that we're scared to death of, and that's change. You have to think differently. But you have to realize that nobody knows who we are, and we need people to know who we are, the outside world. Okay. But don't forget the members in your lodge. Don't just say, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to do all this kind of stuff. But don't forget your own lodge. Do things within your lodge. Change things that you're doing. I mean, every year our lodge held a barbecue. First year we went, we were the fourth couple. Somebody brought down a little barbecuer. We threw a couple of hamburgers, a few hot dogs. We sat around, we talked. That was our lodge summer barbecue. Wow. Okay, so when I was master, they came to my house. We set up the lawn with tables and chairs. We invited everybody to come.
The whole district.
We had the place packed full of people. We had alcohol, we had hot dogs, we had hamburgers. I'm a beef man. Okay, I raise cattle. So it was my own beef. And it was better than anything you're going to buy in the store. just ask him. So, everybody loved it. Everybody visited. I mean, this thing lasted like 4.5 hours. People sat around talking. It's the best thing that they've ever done, because they had not taken the time to sit down and talk with brothers that they had known for 50 years. You go to the state meeting, you see each other, you're around, you shake your hand, you say, hi, how's the family doing? You turn around and walk off. Maybe you see each other for refreshment afterwards. You go home. You don't see them again until the next month. They sat around, they talked, they moved, they sat at different tables. I mean, they had a great time. This thing works. Don't forget your own members. You need to have something that gets them communicating with each other. If you need funds for putting something like that on, once you've got some visibility in the community, do some fundraisers. Otherwise, you're taking it out of your pocket to begin with. Do some fundraisers that get you a fund so you can do that.
Well, we also have had Christmas time. We'll have a potluck at our house. That's not putting anybody out. Well, put us out because we put our own alcohol out, but then they love it.
Yeah.
It just keeps, I mean, you see people there that don't go to lodge lots of times. Then that gets them to want to come.
Well, we might have 25, we might have 65 that show up.
We're just lucky we have a large home.
So think about doing things that are kind of out of the norm that your lodge just isn't doing right now and being involved in, okay? There are all kinds of ideas out there. Wigs and White Sox. How many have heard about it? Okay? This is a little tiny lodge that is, oh, I'm gonna say, from that row of bricks to the doorway to here, big. I mean, if you got 55 brothers in it, you got it crammed. And except for this year, there was only like 32 or 33. But normally, there's 60, 70 brothers that show up. You have to wear a wig. You're supposed to wear white socks. Grandmaster from Washington's there, the Grandmaster from Oregon's there. It's in a little town called Vader. Okay? If you blink at the stoplight, you missed it. It was an old logging town that went broke. The school district went bankrupt and had to be absorbed by another school district. That's how poor they are. But they come to that lodge for a small dinner. They come to have fun. And you sit in that lodge and you get fined by whatever the grandmasters of the two states want to fine you.
For having a wig, for
Yeah.
wearing white socks.
If you got white socks on, they fine you. If you don't have them, they fine you. If you have a wig of a certain color, they fine you. If you don't, they fine you. They fine you for everything. If you're clean shaven, they fine you. And if you got a beard, they fine you twice as much.
You're wearing tennis shoes,
Yeah.
as he always is, the
Yeah.
official shoes.
So, I mean, but everybody laughs and has fun and enjoys it. And all of the proceeds that are raised, the lodge takes the kids and buys them new winter school clothes. Some of these kids don't have a winter coat. And the lodge buys them their clothes. Now this year we only raised $1,800.
1,841 for the local kids.
1841. Last year was like 2,500 and something. The year before was like 2,700 and some dollars. I mean, what a great gift to the community. Okay? We all had a blast. We all laughed like crazy. It hurt at the end of the night, your pocketbook. You always take a fistful of $1 bills. And they fleece you for everything you got. Okay. But I mean, it was different. It's out of the norm. Try it. You never know what's going to take off in your own particular lodge. But it was a fundraiser. It was fantastic.
Ask them what they do in the lodge.
That's what I was going to do. So, I've told you what I've been around and involved with. What do you do that's out of the norm? What? Go ahead.
Yeah, fine.
Come right up.
I'm Tony Moss. I'm from Black Diamond, Diamond Lodge number 83. Small country lodge. Our lodge building, you could probably fit it in this room. That's including the bathroom. But we were fortunate enough to run into or inherit haunted forest. It's in Royal Arch Park, owned by the Royal Arch Masons in Maple Valley. Less than a year ago, our lodge was broke. You know, we had probably definitely less than $1,000 to support the community or any Job's daughters coming, the pageant coming up and all that. We couldn't support any of that. We actually, passed the hat around and bought a quarter page for whatever. We couldn't do nothing. And we started to panic. And when you do that, you can't support your community. So what we came up with, what we inherited, and we were very lucky for this, is a haunted forest at the Royal Large Park. And it's set up in different zones, and the patron, which is anybody in the community, it's open to the public. It's advertised in the newspaper, on the radio. It's many facets that we can get out there. And they go in, they get the poo scared out of them on these different zones. We got a pirate ship, we got we got bodies hanging, and it's just a good time to go out and get scared during the whole month of Halloween. Okay, that's what we're providing the community. But here's the interesting part: is we've invited the Jobies, the Rainbows, Eastern Star, Boy Scouts, DeMolay. There's one more.
We have the Kent Explorers.
The Explorers. They all pitch in. They all work. Starting in April, we're planning now. We're going to start doing the physical work in April, and that's the set building. And each organization gets paid back by the hours that they put into it. Okay. And last year, if I'm going to throw out rough numbers, the whole forest made, I think, just over $70,000 in the month of October. And with everybody's contributions throughout the, we got a late start, so we started more like in June was our
July.
Start July. I mean, that was tight. But from the month of July to October, each person made roughly $5 an hour. That's what they took back to their organizations. And now they were able to, as Masons, here we are putting this on. It's the inherent duties of the junior deacon to be the assistant director, and then the junior warden to be the director. So it's part of the line duties. And we're actually teaching the concordant bodies and the community, the explorers and the Boy Scouts, how to make money, how to fundraise, and then they take that back and they spread it out throughout their community. They train their Boy Scouts. They take the explorers and they do their thing. The Jobies, they help the community just by coming together, becoming one massive group. It's
Don't pitch your food bank donation that gets the customers a discount too for the local food bank.
See, there's so many facets of this that I'm not even aware of. This thing is massive. And if you're close, even if you're relatively close, like Port Orchard or Anacortes, bring a camper, bring some guys, camp in the park, build on Saturday, build on Sunday morning, mark your name down, grab your hours, and then 2 weeks later come out, do the same thing with a different group of brothers, sisters, daughters,
Friends.
sons, friends. It doesn't matter. We even have odd fellows. They take that money back and they serve their communities. That's what Diamond Lodge, a little tiny town, Black Diamond.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, a couple years ago, Dork Lodge number 92, of which I am a member, has for many years participated in the Solstice Parade. They put on their apron, the worshipful master puts on his hat, and 6 or 7 men walk in the Solstice Parade with people with feathers and scarcely any clothing and around them, and nobody notices them. Well, we had a new master a year ago, not the current one, his predecessor, who said, I may be the first African-American master of this lodge, but if I walk in the Solstice Parade, nobody's gonna notice.
So he walked in the Solstice Parade anyway, but that's besides the point. So he decided he was going to have one special event in his year. A Martin Luther King Day of Service. And believe me, everybody in the Seattle City Council knew it. Everybody in Fremont knew it. About 400 people showed up at the lodge to contribute to the service. There wasn't enough work for 400 people to do, but we fed them. We put together emergency packs that I think ended up in Louisiana, but I'm not sure. We put on, the 10 of us put on black t-shirts that said, I have to translate from Latin because I can't remember how to say it in Latin, more light. And then said Doric Lodge over on our breast pockets. And in a crowd of 400 people, we were not noticeable. But in Fremont City Council, Fremont, I can't think of the name of it now, Chamber of Commerce, worshipful Brother Ralph Weathers got noticed, and he's still being noticed.
Good. Yeah, thank you. There's a lot of different things that you can do. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about what each lodge does that is maybe a little bit different or whatever. But the point I want to get across is you have to first think of that one word that I absolutely love, and that's change. Now, my dad brought me up that way. We farmed all our life. We changed constantly in what we were doing. He really believed in it. That's how he led his life. I'm not scared of doing something different. I'm not scared of the consequences of doing something different, because if it doesn't work, we'll do something else that will then take care of whatever our loss was. Change. You have to change. We've got to change what we're doing, or we as a fraternity are going to continue on the slide we've got. We're losing way more than we're gaining. So think about change. Think about doing things different. And guess what? When those past masters go, we did that 25, 35 years ago, it won't work. Go, that was 35 years ago. This is today. And we're going to do it different than you did it, and we're going to make money. And then get them involved. Okay? But we've got to change. We've got to change our attitude about who we are, what we are, and how we go about our business. We've got to bring in young members that have the enthusiasm to jump out there and do all kinds to invigorate the older members that don't really want to get out and do a whole lot of work, but will if somebody else lines it all up for them. We've got to change. We've got to get into the community. They have to know who we are again. They have to know the Mozarts. They have to know who Benjamin Franklin was. They have to know that John Wayne was a great Mason. They have to know about Lee Majors. Okay? They have to know about the funny characters that have passed on.
Laurel and Hardy.
Mr. Roberts.
Red Skelton.
Yep. I mean, Red Skelton was phenomenal. Because he always made fun of himself. And he was never afraid of change and doing the things that need to be done. We need to let people know who we are. And what we raise money for. They don't know. Okay. You heard enough. Try. You know, my dad's favorite saying, yeah, we ran cattle all the time. My dad's favorite saying is, all a steer can do is try. Try and try. Okay? And if you don't know what a steer is, it's a cut bull. So, anyway.
Beg to differ with you, it's a cut calf.
Well, it depends when you do it. But the whole idea is don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to try things. Visit other lodges. Get ideas about what they're doing. And then and if it's something that interests you, ask questions. You may not do what they're going to do because you don't want to steal that from them, but you may have some changes that you're going to make in what they do, and you change the whole concept of what's being done and you make it your own. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to make sure we get out there and drive it. So, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it very much. Thank my wife for giving the speech.
Oh.
Hey, have a safe drive home, okay?
And